Hello travelers, Boardman21 here, and today we're going to discuss part 3, the Primalist. So welcome back, and it's going to be LizardIRL and myself putting all of the skills for the Primalist into a tier chart so you can see exactly where we would rate them. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Summon Wolf.
Summon Wolf. Well, Summon Wolf can do a lot of damage. They can be pretty tanky now with the regen and with the leech from aspect of the links. If you go crit. So I think they're a really solid pet actually. I was playing them on the tournament on hardcore, and again, unfortunately, I made a mistake and I died at wave 200 something. But my wolves were fucking shit up. Now, it is an annoying playstyle because you have to keep all the buffs up, right? Like the Frenzy Totem, the Shout, the this, the that, the Terras, the Roots. So it is it's a lot of work for what you get from them. But I think they're pretty cool. I would say they're definitely a good pet. I don't think they're as good as the stuff that's on S tier, so I'm going to put it at A. But from the pets, they're the good ones.
A?
Companions, you might.
Wow.
Yeah.
For me, Summon Wolf is S. It's not S+. It's not going to be the same level as like Skeleton Mages and Skeletons, but I mean, they are powerful. Yes. They can kill things. It surprises me as a companion that you can only have half as many of them as you can Skeletons, and they also can only do like 1/3 of the damage. Like, I find it ridiculous that Skeleton Mages can go crit things for 2k each, and you can have 10 of them, but your wolves can only do, 700-800 damage.
Not to mention, you get 10 of them, plus the golem, plus the zombies, plus the mages.
Yeah.
And it sucks that the companions are shared, right? It almost feels like wolf should have their own counter, just for being a beastmaster, maybe, right? Because I would love to. It feels, I kind of like dislike that if you're running wolves, you're basically encouraged to not run anything else. And kind of sucks, It would be nice that you could get like the raptor for single target and then get the wolves for AoE or something. My issue and the reason why I didn't want to put it on S is while I agree that the wolves themselves are really cool. Like, my wolves were hitting the damage for fucking 100k on the weekend tournament, right? They do a lot of damage and they have a lot of crit, and they never even took damage on my push. I was useless as a player. It's hard. It's for as Necro, you can get so tanky, right? You have so many synergies that your minions make you tankier and stuff. You don't really feel punished for building minions as a Necro, because you're building int anyway, and you're building HP anyway, and you don't really care. And the tree has a lot of like stuff that is both for you and stuff. But when you're playing Beastmaster, it's like, well, my minions are killing machines, and I'm like, the AI gets crazy in Arena also, which makes it annoying. In Monolith it's fine, but in Arena it's annoying as fuck. And again, if your minions are not with you, you just explode. And Eterra's Blessing Taunt is not reliable, it's weird, it's only 4 seconds, it's annoying as fuck having to press it. If I could not play wolves and not worry about me being dead weight for the build, I would agree with you on the S. But I mean, they are S if the wolves could just be on their own without me, yeah.
If they had Dreadshade on them?
Yeah, for example. Again, I just think they're for sure, in my opinion, they're the best companion. So we can put them on S, I guess.
I wanted to put them on S just because I know that some of the other companions are going to be A, and the wolves, in my opinion, are always above them.
Yes, yes, I agree.
All right. Ice Thorns. The biggest thing about the wolves, actually, I wanted to mention was the fact that they still have a % increased health regen. Massive, like 350%, and now that you can get flat, they can get 1,000 to 2,000 flat health per second, which is just stupid. And that's also, their survivability is just crazy. But Ice Thorns.
Well, Ice Thorns probably gonna get reworked, right? Because it's one of those abilities that you wanna just autocast, and I don't think the depths really want that. The armor you can get, the auto procs you can get, it's good for leveling also with the flat damage and the more damage. The crit avoidance you can get. It's instant cast. You can make it 0 mana with a 2-handed. Really good support skill, in my opinion. And the fact that it doesn't have a cap when you're playing things like melee and bear, and you can just like proc 50 stacks of it. I actually think it's S, as annoying as it is.
You would put it all the way up in S, huh?
Yes. I mean, you can get 80% damage reduction on this without doing anything with this skill. And the crit avoidance.
For me, it's A. I could put it as S, actually. Because, you know, when I use it, I always think, depending on how I use it, I usually put it on autocast. And if I get it to a point where, I mean, it also gives you the critical strike avoidance. So you can knock out a whole tier with it. With the armor and all that, I could put it as S. It definitely increases your survivability. Unfortunately,
it procs haste. If you have haste on your build, it procs armor shred. It procs whatever physical shred or cold shred you're using on your build. It can proc totems if you're playing a totem build that procs on hit. I just think the convenience you get on this ability is slow and chill on hit if you're just running around kiting and you don't have to aim them. It's like, and again, it's an ability that you don't need to think about, and it does all of these things for you with 0 mana cost. It's just, again, it's one of those abilities that it's not like, wow, look, it's Dreadshade, you know? But it's what you get from it. It has to be S. It's like sigils, right? It's one of those abilities that just gets you so much that how can you not put it on S, right? At least.
Yeah, it's a very powerful support skill.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Lunge.
Well, you mean Fury Leap.
Yeah, Fury Leap, not Lunge.
That ability, yeah. Well, you can use the Earthquake thing on it, and you can push a lot with it. Let's scuff the Werebear. You know, we've seen it on the tourney too. Again, the ability on itself is kind of cool for leveling if you build it for damage, and if you go for the low life like crit thingy and resetting your cooldown. I think it's a shame that the attack speed is not shared between minions, since the damage is. I think that would be really cool. You know, you jump and your minions get... Again, the cooldown is too long for no reason. You don't have an immunity, even though you're airborne, so you have to Warcry before you jump to get away with it. It's, from all the jumps, it's by far the worst. So,
all the movements.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna give it a B. You can still use it.
Huh? I feel like B, it can do a solid Leap Quake build with it, and therefore B is pretty good for it. I wouldn't go any higher. The survivability is still low. Very few people are going to play it. I mean, why Leap Quake when you can Earthquake Werebear?
Earthquake, yeah, exactly.
So, and then outside of being able to do damage with it, the buff side of it, you know, it's not the strongest thing ever. It is kind of cool that you can have some of your pets leap with you. And give them damage, but not all of them.
Yeah, and that has nothing really to do with the ability itself, right? That's just because they released this one item that broke the game, and we know they're fixing the item. I mean, and to be honest, if you're playing Leapquake, it's because you're playing a tournament, and Werebear was banned, right? So,
and then they did, you know, give some cooldown reduction inside of it, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
it's I think it's mostly the animation for it, though. I think the thing I hate for the most is how long it takes to leap.
Yeah.
By the time you land, you're already, you're leaping into a pack of mobs. You're not
and
immune,
they're shooting at you,
and they're already melee hitting you, and then you have to wait for the animation to finish to get your hit off of whatever you're doing. It needs some love. Thorn Totems.
Surprisingly good, actually, with the cone and the damage and the new totem stuff that you can get. This build got hit this patch because you can no longer get 4 1x4 idols with the base crit and the chance to proc Thorn Totem on hit. But I think they're actually pretty solid. I played them recently, and you can run around with them on one of these builds, you know, with Hurricane and stuff, like Tornado, and Wings of Argentus and stuff, and your DPS might not be really high, but oh shit, you're tanky, right? You can put Avalanche in there if you want and stuff. So I think I'm gonna go on A with them. They're definitely solid, and they're good for leveling too. I'll give it an A.
I'll agree with you. Summon Thor Totems used to be, in my opinion, even better.
Yes.
With the poison clouds, what they call poison pools, whatever they were, being able to stack massive amounts of poison with them, proccing them massively.
The FPS killer, the famous FPS killer.
Yeah, they were definitely like S tier at that point, to the point where they could crash your PC. Then they went SS there for a little bit, temporarily, when they could give you 100 mana back, with every proc of them. That was cool. And then, now they're back down to... They do pretty decent damage. I still wish there was ways to build them to have mana come back from them. In Spriggan form, you kind of have a bypassing way of being able to get mana out of them if you use enough mana efficiency and proc them with healing totems. But it's...
I did push this to 350 waves on a weekend, and I didn't even die. I quit just because I was so far ahead of the first one, and it was taking me so long to push with my DPS.
Yeah, I think 8 tiers.
Tanky. You're tanky. And safe, because the totems aggro for you and stuff.
Yeah, and block projectiles. Yeah, I'd say they're a solid A.
Apply chill, armor shred. Really nice utility.
Swipe.
Ooh, Swipe is an interesting one, in my opinion. Swipe, the crit multi is really nice, right? The crit chance is nice. The area, why is it so small by default? I don't... and then it has a lot of cool things that you want. The lining stuff is cool, even though it takes a lot of investment and you kind of like lose on the other stuff. I'm gonna give Swipe... I think Swipe is probably an... I mean, you can get so tanky with Primalist now. I think I'm gonna give it an S. Swipe.
I put it in S as well. You can get massive amounts of leech from it. The crit multi, the crit strike. You can...
the shred. Yeah.
Shred, you can also proc the wolves, which then do a cone shape AoE for the same amount of damage. It's good.
Tempest Strike.
Tempest Strike. Ugh.
This one hurts on your soul, I know.
It does. I would put it in D if it didn't get mana back. Even still, I'd go C with it just because of the fact that mana's okay with it. There are some builds where it's usable. If you do an auto casting build where you do like Maelstrom, Ice Thorns, Avalanche, and Ice Thorns, Maelstrom, whatever I just said. Anyways, if you have like 4 skills that are very heavy in mana, now that there's more mana regen, it's not such needed. But when you could just use Tempest Strike once and now and then, and it was a good build.
I'll just make sure I feed mana regen. I have 20 mana regen, and I just spec something else, honestly.
Yeah. And then Tempest Strike was also... I haven't played it recently. I haven't tried it again. But its ability to proc all of its hits and to proc summon Thorn Totems, so that you have multiple procs of summon Thorn Totems happening. Like you can get 2 or 3 of them because you have Tempest Strike hit, then you have the Earth Spikes, and then you have the Earth Spikes hit that can also do Thorn Totems. And you could proc just massive amounts of summon Thorn Totems. It's a decent build, but it's just the attack speed is so low. It's just
so clunky. Clunky.
But I'd go C. What are you thinking? D. Yeah, you hate it. I wouldn't be afraid to drop it down there.
I mean, let's put it C because the logo is cool. The art is cool.
It's usable with the Alluvion axe, right?
Sword.
Or sword, yeah, the 2-handed sword. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah.
All right, Eterra's Blessing.
Okay. Good ability. Taunt is stupid to get rid of it, but good ability. Things I don't like. The mana cost is crazy. The duration is really short, so you basically turns into a mini game where you have to micromanage something that feels odd. I think they should only add this 4-second duration if you go to spec for something very specific, like the taunt, like the mana, like the healing. But for example, for things like the bonuses for your pets, first of all, like if I want to give buffs to my wolves, why doesn't it apply to all of my wolves at once? Why doesn't it have an AoE? Why do I have to press 1 by 1? Why is it 19 mana? It's a good ability that just sucks to use. And I've used it, And you have to get attunement, but pets don't scale with it also. Why do companions don't scale with attunement? And strength. What? Like, depths. They give it double scaling, so you can, it feels so bad that you have to choose. Like, again, I don't know, man. I think it's. I mean, it has uses, right? The taunt is good. It's unmissable. I think it sucks to play, honestly. If you can avoid it and you don't really need it to push arena because you don't care about the taunt and stuff, I wouldn't suggest using it. I'll give it a B, honestly.
For B, I gave it an A just because it is super powerful. The taunt on it obviously is super powerful. It
increased damage for free, right?
Free increased damage, companion move and attack speed. The ability to revive them from range and not have to go get yourself caught in it. The healing, obviously, also very powerful. The cleanse on it. It's
on elements.
It's pretty powerful. And if you're doing a build
I have PTSD. Just
casting it every 4 seconds does suck. Casting it even more than that in order to hit multiple minions sucks. No AoE on it. There's many things that make it feel clunky, not fun, suck. But it's still a very strong skill. I would definitely put it in there with an A.
Okay.
Sabertooth.
Now, I think from the pets... Now, there is one thing I like about Sabertooth.
He's sexy.
The fact that you can give him cold damage and you can benefit from Warcry cold damage buff. And crit. Aside from that, he sucks. It's by far the worst pet. So if I'm gonna put the Raptor at A, Tiger has to be at least B. Right.
Yeah, I put Saber at B. I did a lot of testing with the Saber, converting him to full ice. His ice vortex, he has the retaliation. I think it's the ice vortex that's the retaliation, and then he has something else. He has 2 skills that he uses. One's retaliation, one's one that he'll cast.
Ice Nova or something is called, I think.
The weird thing about him, it's really weird that summon wolves, when you give them the lightning retaliation, they gain the spell tag. But the Sabertooth, when you give him Ice Vortex, he does not get the spell tag. But the bear, when you give him Briar Thorns, gets the spell tag. So
probably just
it's probably overlooked.
Oversight, yeah.
But because it doesn't get that spell tag, it doesn't scale with spell It's just, the Saber itself would be better if that did scale with spells and did more damage. Even converting all his damage to cold and using Warcry, his hits for a solo thing doesn't hit anywhere near what the other pets do.
The active ability sucks compared to Howl or Rampage.
For leveling, he's higher. He's much higher. Early to mid campaign, he's pretty good, but end campaign and end game, solid B.
Yeah.
Maelstrom.
Lots of utility, right? Dodge. You can cast it with Warcry now. It's nice, but again, it's one of those abilities that I think it's on the dodge you can get is pretty nice, right? Especially if you're Serpent Striking around and stuff like that. But as an ability, really nice leveling also, kind of. I kind of like using it on instant cast, and if you get it on instant cast, you don't get as many stacks. If you cast it on Warcry, it costs a lot of mana, so you have to build regen. It's a good ability, get tons of utility. The healing is nice. But I don't think it's more than an A, personally.
Yeah, I gave it A. It's a great support skill. You get that dodge rating. You can get stun damage. Yeah, you get the damage with it. You get the chill. It'll automatically chill things for you. The healing is really nice that you can stack up. You can get the lightning procs out of it. You can get haste and frenzy if you decide to build into a super mana heavy skill if you're not using it with avalanche or something else that takes mana. So like if you're swiping with it active on instacast, you can constantly have haste and frenzy, and with aspect of the shark, it's actually ridiculous. But other than that, it's a weird skill. It's one of those like you want it to be on instacast, but you want to get more than 7 stacks, and so you're always fighting it. And then if you manually cast it, I don't know if you saw the build I put on a while back where I capped out mana regen. We put it on all 5 items. We had 26 or 27 mana regen, and then Maelstrom was the only skill we used, and we just put it on autocast, but it wasn't instacast. So you stutter stepped from the beginning to the end of an echo, and you had like 35 to 40 stacks, and everything killed. You had massive dodge, massive healing, and everything died that came in the circle, but you literally stutter stepped all the way to the end. Most painful 5 minutes of an echo run, but it worked.
Not to mention if you get to harder content,
so I hope that instacast, I hope they change the cooldown with that. I think the mana cost is enough, and the cooldown should like go away. but we'll see.
I almost think like Maelstrom could be a thing that you just get from doing things rather than casting it. Now you kill an enemy, get 1 stack. You cast Warcry, you get 4 stacks. You hit an enemy, you have a chance, right? And maybe like have a little section on the passive that does that. You add 5 points, you give it dodge when you get Maelstrom or whatever, because it just feels like such a, like when you're making a build on Primalist is really mana heavy, and then it's like, oh right, I have my build, and it's like, okay, I have 1 slot left, what do I get? And you have built your build to have like a good mana flow, and it feels good, and you have your damage and blah. It's like, oh, I'm gonna put Maelstrom in the build. Oh well, can't really use it because it's 20 mana, I mean, you can give it mana efficiency and this and that, but again, Maelstrom is if you have only 7 stacks of it, it's not like is it really worth the investment in mana regen and all that? I don't know, but yeah, it's not bad. It's just like old, right?
Hopefully, it sees some changes in the future. I do like when a lot of other things proc it. You have Warcry that procs it, passives can proc it, idols can proc it, the new relic implicit can proc it, but those things, it's funny because when they all work together, they all still cost the mana, and your mana can go from full to just gone, and you're like, hey, what the hell just happened? You don't have
control, because they all procced at the same time. Random,
Yeah, everything else had just died, so there's nothing left to kill, so it's a waste, Serpent Strike.
Serpent Strike, we've talked about this recently, right? Okay, the fact that you can get the dodge, the attack speed, and you can still go poison with this. I mean, I haven't proved this because I haven't had time to make it, but I think you can definitely push it. And if you play it with wolves, you play it with poison, right? With totems, poison totems, whatever you want to do with it. I think you can push this. And I know you can get really tanky just because you can get the dodge. You can build some decent damage reduction, right, on Primalist, because Primalist is just tanky. So I'm gonna say you can probably get S tier, I think.
Yeah, I put it in S tier as well. Massive damage, huge amounts of dodge. When you stack it,
dexterity stacking.
Yeah, when you stack it into that, that poison chance with the dex. When you stack it into the dodge with Maelstrom or something else that gives the dodge increase, especially the Beastmaster passive tree. When you have the only thing I hate about it, you have to use a polearm. That requirement in itself, I hate that you can't use a weapon and a sword and a shield, with it for tank ability, especially as a Beastmaster. It's one of the things that's got me scared about the new Void skill coming, that you have to use a sword or axe. I'm like,
sword or an axe, two-handed,
or two-handed, axe or sword with it. It's like, nah. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see what they do with the axes, because we know axes are getting the sword treatment. And
reworking.
Yeah, the new swords and the new maces were fucking sweet. So we're gonna see what they do with axes, because axes are a bit. I mean, you have Rider Axe and that's it.
I honestly believe that they should change implicits on weapons. How almost all weapons come with melee physical damage. They should change it to where every weapon can rule any element. It could be plus, it has its set amount that it gives, but it could rule random elements.
You could roll void
damage,
raid axe of. I see. That would be really interesting.
And I mean, it's either that or they do the whole damage conversion inside
the conversion, which is easier, right? But
it would be easier, yeah. But it would, it'd be really cool if you got that Raider action. Oh, it's necrotic. Now I'm gonna go try Necromancer Harvest or some shit.
I mean, I would love it because more grind. I don't know if 90% of the player base would love it. Yeah,
I love grind. I want to save all the grind time for when it's actually released.
I see.
Tornado.
All right. Good buff. I don't know why it takes so many points to make it usable. It's like a bit like Fireball, right? You have to, before you get all the it follows you, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit I tried using the pooling, and I know people use it to the lining things to proc Thorn Totems also and stuff. I think it's a pretty cool buff. But again, that's it. And again, coming from Diablo 2, you get a bit disappointed, right? When Maelstrom and Tornado, which are basically Wind Druid on Diablo 2, are just utility and they don't do damage like what you would expect in Diablo 2. It's a bit of a disappointment, but I do think it's a decent buff. The movement speed and all that is, and the mana regen is nice, right? As the aspect of the storm, whatever it's called. I'm gonna give it an A.
Yeah,
it has its uses.
I gave it an A as well. The mana regen, the attack speed, cast speed, the move speed that you can get from it, which is kind of rare. Super good utility. Damage-wise, I've done a couple of damage builds with it where you manually cast it. It's just like Maelstrom, you're stutter stepping in order to cast it enough. The pull is pretty cool. Instead of a pull, I would rather see that the tornadoes would attach to enemies that they're near. Just attach to it and stay on it.
And the enemies group, so they became more. I see. That would be really cool. Yeah.
The pull is kind of weird because you can get the double cast with the pull, and then you have like double tornadoes pulling on enemies different ways, and then the enemy ends up just coming at you.
It ends up being weird because there's forces from both sides. Yeah, so you can just do regular movement.
I would definitely love to see Tornado instead attach to an enemy and have debuffs that it would apply over time to an enemy, per second or whatever. It would be a cool debuff skill / support instead of a support / nothing skill, but yeah. Alright, we gotta talk about it. Earthquake.
Okay. Earthquake. Well, Earthquake is an ability that if you spec it properly, costs 100 mana and has a 6-second cooldown.
Sucks.
But if you wear a weapon that you can get on the basic 90 monoliths guaranteed drop that anyone can get in 1 day of play, it becomes the best skill in the game.
Yeah, but you can bypass everything that's bad about it.
Yeah.
It's great.
I don't know
if I want to put it in SS. Well, it's not going to get nerfed. Earthquake will stay the same.
It is going to get nerfed. They already said it.
Earthquake itself or Boulder's Wrath was going to change to not proc? I thought they just said that it wouldn't proc.
I don't know what they're going to... I mean, we know Earthquake Werebear is changing. Obviously, Earthquake Werebear is SS, not even... It's so retarded that it doesn't even fit in the game, right? It's one of those builds that, like, most of these builds we're talking around here, like, an S+ would be a power level of 10 out of 10. Earthquake is 100 out of 10. It's like comparing a bazooka to like a pocket knife. They're both weapons, yes, but one is and it's a bazooka with a nuclear head. So again, without the weapon and without the combo that everyone's doing, to be honest, it's probably like B, honestly, right? Because why would you use Earthquake when you can swipe? But with the weapon, it turns the game into PoE. That's how broken it is.
Yeah, with the weapon, it's currently SS, and I mean, for the tier list, we have to leave it there because it can be done. But without the weapon, it'd probably go back to being a B, maybe an A skill, but I mean, it just never got used. I used it once with a swipe aspect of the shark build with Beastmaster, to where you'd aspect of the shark, you get mana back with swipe so fast that you could actually spam Earthquake. So it was playable and it was doable. The tankiness, your dual welding tankiness wasn't super high. It was definitely probably an A build, but yeah, it's.
I mean, obviously, what they need to do is they need to change how that weapon works, so it's like not this stupidness. And also, they should probably not make Earthquake cost 100 mana without the weapon, right?
Well, the simplest change. I mean, if they just simply said that Earthquake cost half its mana cost when you use it through Boulder's Wrath, it would instantly kill the Earthquake Werebear. You could only charge 3 times and it would be game over. All they'd have to do is add a mana cost, and that would be it. I was really surprised they didn't do that in the last patch. I thought just adding a mana cost would have just ended it. It would have been fine.
You know what happened, right? I said that if it didn't get nerfed, I would drink Coca-Cola out of my shoe.
They just wanted to see you do it? I saw that clip. I was there for it live.
Well, I said it again for next patch. Like, at this point, I'm just gonna food poison until they do it. It's like I'm like Gandhi of the last Epoch. I'm like doing a manifestation.
Is it from the same Coke can? Just left it cracked open, ready for the next patch?
No. New can, and I'll clean up the shoe this time. But yeah.
Yeah, you did it raw. It was rough.
It is what it is.
All right, Avalanche.
Avalanche is cool. Again, you can use it with you can get haste on it with free and damage reduction on what's his name? Wings of Argentus. Wings of Argentus just shaped the meta completely. We're gonna get to it, right?
The Warpath is coming.
Yeah. I think. Well, and Rogue, right?
And Rogue, and I mean Shaman too.
I think you can probably fit it in S, honestly. If you make a good build and you have good gear, with the cold damage per totem, and now it's gonna take really good idols to work, but and with the cold shred blessing, you can get so many hits. Armor shred, you can get so many hits. I bet you can make the damage and the tankiness of this bad boy scale really up, and it's really easy to play, right? So I think S probably. It's on the lower tier of S. But I think S.
Yeah, I gave it S as well. It hits pretty hard. I mean, the fact that you can cast it once every 8 seconds and have it go off for 8 seconds and you just run around tanky.
Yeah.
I mean, that's powerful. It's definitely S tier.
Yeah.
All right, Entangling Roots.
Ooh, this bad boy got hit.
Every patch for the last 5 patches in a row.
And it's still good.
it's still all right.
You know what's the funniest thing? What's the most broken thing about the roots? The slow, right?
The slow?
90% slow without any point. Why they don't just nerf that? Bad. Make it 20%, And why 90? It's like legit a root. It's so crazy.
I like it. I mean, that's the purpose of it. It's to slow the enemies down.
Yeah,
I like it.
At 20%, at 90%, like, okay, if the purpose of it is to slow the enemies down, wouldn't it make sense to have like a base low of 20? And if you want to slow it down more, maybe you would need to have, put points into extra slow so you can take the area. Because right now you just get the 90% points for free. Level 1, you don't even need to spec it, even if it's 60 mana or whatever, right? And I think it's a bit toxic for the game, honestly.
The skill tree is obviously, very old. It does need a rework. It's probably the skill that I've seen nerfed the most amount of times without changing anything actually in the skill tree. It just keeps taking numeric hits everywhere that it goes.
Yeah. I mean, I assume they want to change it. We know Primalist is getting changes.
It has
and
to
we
change.
We know Entangling Roots was very linked into the transformations, right? Because you can proc it and the summon Spriggan and all that. And we know all of that is changing. Right now, I still give it an S, though.
Give it an S?
Yes.
Oh.
For Arena, it's too broken, man. Like, I use it on the Frenzy Druid, I use it on the Wolf build. If I can fit it in my build, I fit it. Still. And I just put a couple points into the mana efficiency, so it's 30 mana instead of 60,
I would go A. I don't know.
The Werebear nerf is big, right?
That part is big. There's still versions of it that are super powerful. I could see it going to S. I'll go S. The reason I'll go S with it is because it's still super powerful for the Spriggan, which you can run in normal Druid form and just destroy anything and everything, which is dumb. I'm very surprised that they did what they did to Werebear with it. Because they must have known if you gave it that mana cost, there would be absolutely no way to play Werebear. I mean, if you wore one time and it cost 50 mana, oh, what?
Unless you go to mana efficiency nodes that you can snapshot anyway, right? So...
But it would still be super expensive because War itself is like 10 mana, and then add in 30 mana for Entangling Roots. It's 40 mana for a 1-second buff on a skill, and
especially if you go for the triple cast, which is what people did on Werebear, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's funny that they took the time to change that, and they didn't touch Earthquake Werebear,
Yeah.
Hey, beta life, it is what it is.
Well, the part that's sad the most about it is that Entangling Roots is built directly into the Werebear tree when they destroyed it, and so it's really weird that they would have, if you're gonna redo the whole Werebear, you should have just left it for one more patch. I don't know why they killed it for the patch, but I mean,
maybe they're getting us used to not having roots in it or something. I don't know. We will see. I'm excited for Werebear. We will see, and Primalist in general. The more I play Primalist, the more I enjoy it. Aside of the broken stuff, but
I heard.
I actually been playing a lot of non-transformation, and you actually can do so many cool things. It's just a shame that it's just not quite.
It's the Druid tree
there.
itself that needs a little help. I think that would make it better.
Druid is like, it's funny because you go Druid for the passive and the hide skin node that is just broken, right? And everything else you just put on Beastmaster. Shaman. Like, every Primalist has. That's another thing. Every Primalist has 30 points on Beastmaster. Doesn't matter. Because you want to get the aspect of the board, you're going to get Earth Sign, and that's just how it is. And you want to get at least 1 point in Shark, right? That's just how every build, right? Doesn't matter if you're playing, it doesn't matter. And I think what they probably need to do is they need to move aspect of the board, in my opinion, into the top of Beastmaster. Personally.
If they do, they need to add some sort of damage reduction inside of Druid Tree.
Why? Because he has Ursign and he has Berserker. What does Sentinel has? Nothing.
Sentinel has skills. Sentinel's got Sigils of Hope. It's got Vengeance.
Well, that's no damage reduction.
Who pushes higher in the arena? Turbo
Werebear.
Vengeance. Well, Werebear is Earthquake at the moment. Pushes higher.
No, Swipe Werebear pushes 600 waves. Ammon has pushed it. Swipe Werebear.
We'll have to see how the new Werebear goes. I still feel like damage reduction should be in maybe like damage reduction if you're not in a transformation inside of the tree would be beneficial.
Maybe. Yeah, that would be cool.
But yeah. Anyways, Spriggan form.
Spriggan form. Well, right now it's SS. So.
Summon Spriggan. Not Spriggan form.
That's Summon Spriggan, yeah. Summon Spriggan is S+, right, also, I would say.
I'd say you can kill some stuff with it, yeah.
Like, you can give it, like, all the crazy buffs and all the, like, adaptive spell damage for a single minion kind of thing. Right, well, I mean, it's that build you did this. How do you call it? The Weregan or whatever?
Well, the Weregan died. You can't do it in Werebear anymore. Since Roots
No, but without, right? You can still buff it like crazy. And...
Yeah, the Machine Gun Spriggan still lives.
Yeah, exactly. That one. And, well, it does a lot of... it does crazy damage, right? So, and again, you just... I don't know. They're probably going to do something with it, right? It's one of those builds that feel a bit weird.
Well, I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to end up getting rid of that 40 adaptive spell damage at the top of Druid Tree, and then it'll just be dead. It'll just go away.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you have to think how bad it feels if it didn't do damage, because it already is single target pwned. It would just... Yeah, I don't know. Alright,
but right now it's S+ for me, yeah.
Yeah, Summon Spriggan. The actual
both transformations, but Summon Spriggan, because you can do the taunt abuse with the binds. I mean, you can basically push forever, enemies ignore you, SS. I mean, notice all the stuff in SS is taunt and Earthquake Werebear, so...
You want to... Oh, yeah, whoops, wrong line. You think the big Vine Slapper is SS? You think that'll get nerfed?
No, I'm not. That's not the big slimes. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the one that casts the binds. You know, the ones that are tanky. The ones that are like I don't know how they're called.
Root Wall.
Root Wall. Yeah, you cast Root Wall, and then you make it so Root Wall can cast Ice Thorns. And then Ice Thorns, for whatever reason, scales with player stats, and they crit for 80k. And you have Permataunt, and all you do is like spam that every 4 seconds, Permataunt, and you can literally go on forever. It's like stupid. Not to mention, you can get 7k life on Spriggan.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, we got Scorpion, Bear, and Raptor.
We put both of the transformations on SS, I assume, yeah?
Yeah, they're both up there at SS.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So for Scorpion.
I think Scorpion with Poison Scorpion single companion is actually pretty nice. I remember I watched Flindler played it quite a bit ago, and I assume now it's even better. Because with some of the changes and stuff, so I would say it. I mean, I haven't played it myself, but I'm gonna say it's at least A.
Yeah, I would put Scorpion, the Bear, and the Raptor all in A. They're not. They're all going to be under the Wolf, but better than the Saber.
Yeah, like Scorpion for the poison, Bear for the tankiness and the Thorns procs, and Raptor for the single target damage and the crit. Right? I would say.
And Bear even, I did a melee version of it recently. You can make it hit so it would retaliate for good damage, and then it also had
does the swiping.
It can use swipe pretty quick, and it would crit enemies in empowered content for 3 or 4k each. So it was pretty potent.
Nice, cool.
But of course, you can't have 6 of them.
Yeah, we agree on the pets.
Frenzy
companions need some love, regardless. Like the reanimation mechanic is just.
Well, the biggest thing about the companions, I think, is they have good survivability now. But they have, 1/3, half the numbers of the necromancer pets, but they do like half the damage. If you're lucky, you can get them to do like the same amount of damage. So they need a damage boost, and what they also need is I wouldn't say they need more taunt.
Cleave.
AOE would be nice, but some way for the Primalist for them to protect you. Or for some way for them to, I don't know, be body blockers.
Maybe they could make like a shield or something. They could give you like for a percentage of damage that they think they like heal you or something, like protector of the. I don't know. They can invent some fantasy stuff.
Yeah, we've asked before for every companion you have out that you would have a percentage of damage reduction because it would share it with them or whatever it is, but.
No, I mean, a bit of like what Frenzy... now talking about Frenzy Totem. Frenzy Totem has a bit of that, right? Some of the damage you take, it gets, like, when he, like, absorbs it or some shit, right?
So the Frenzy Totem, I believe when it takes damage, it can absorb it, and then it puts out damage after so many seconds of a portion
like an
of
explosion.
It took. I've never actually used
like
that, though, because the damage reflection is just kind of garbage on them, but...
Yeah. For me, Frenzy Totem has to be S. That the flat damage you can get for companions and for yourself, with all the thing like the cool stuff, like you can get crit chance for yourself if you're playing like single thing. You're just like swiping or whatever. You can get your wolves crit chance. You can get double rampage. You can reset companion ability cooldowns, which is cool. Like when you put it right, so you can have perma uptime of links and stuff like that. It's absolutely insane, and to be honest, the only issue that I have with this ability is that it's a totem, so sometimes enemies decide to target it as long as you spawn it. You spawn it, they kill it, and you have to wait 6 seconds, and it's a bit annoying. But when it's actually up, it's absolute bonkers. The 40 flat damage for companions with the other, like, something 30, like, it's so bonkers. Like, I wish the area was a bit bigger by default too, because it's a bit short by default. But really, really, really good ability. I like Frenzy Totem.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. That flat damage, the fact that its attack speed bonus is stacking with attunement, so you can get even a higher percentage of attack speed and stuff out of it. The fact that it builds into the companions, I assume it will see a rework to make up for the new companions. There's no crows or raptor in it. But the fact that it has a certain synergy, just like Eterra's Blessing does with each of the companions, is pretty cool. I expect them to expand that, but yeah, it's a solid S support skill. That's something that you're gonna throw in to a Beastmaster build anytime.
Or I throw it on Druid too, just for the crit chance. 250 is so nice, and the flat damage.
Yeah, as long as you don't do Werebear, it's gonna be used.
Yeah.
All right, Warcry. This one's.
I love Warcry, absolutely. Like my favorite Primalist skill, like so fun to use. It's a bit of a shame that when you use it, you can get stunned, and you're trying to use it to not get stunned, so it sucks. But aside from that, and that's just more like a problem of stuns, not of the ability. It's great. I love how you can destroy projectiles with it when you cast it. It makes you feel like a good player using this ability. The buffs are insane. Berserker, even though the stacks don't last for too long, is insane. It has cleanse, it has crit chance, it has minion buffs, it has haste, it has bleed, it has lower cooldown, it has knockups, pulls, freezes, stuns. It's such a cool skill. The sound is cool, the effects is cool, it makes you feel powerful. Another S skill for me.
Yep, I put in an S
Immunity.
as well. Yep. Yeah, super powerful. It's also got the tie into the Maelstrom, the healing, fear. It has all those. And then the biggest thing for single targets, being able to use it and gain 60% attack speed. The massive amounts, like 52 or something flat added physical damage,
yeah.
whatever it is. And it it's not only that that's a huge boost, but when you use that at the beginning of attacking a single target, and then that stacks, you have that big boost of attack speed. Now Aspect of the Shark can stack even faster. It's a crazy skill.
Yeah. Really nice.
Summon Storm Totem.
Now, I always thought Summon Storm Totem was pretty bad. And then someone told me to try the Blizzard node. Damn, I like this ability. It's really cool. I wish it had a bit more support, right? Because, because when you, I don't know, I wish when you switch it to cold, it would still benefit from the shock part of the tree, right? Even if you're doing cold and stuff, to get the more damage. I don't know, I really like the ability. I think it's a great AoE. It's great clear. Like, if you spec it during the campaign, like, it legit, like, you can legit AFK Monolith and it just clears everything on its own. Like, with the Blizzard node. I think it's definitely better than Thorn Totems. And so I'm gonna give it an S, I think. On the context of the Primalist, I think if you had to compare it with something like Fireball, which is on top of it, it would be a bit lower. But on the context of the Primalist, and especially Shaman, which what the abilities does the Shaman even have, right? I think it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, Summon Storm Totem is very powerful. There are some things I wish they would do with it. The Thunder Totem, or Thunderstorm Totem, the increased version of it that you can build into. I wish that you could build into that with like a guaranteed chance.
Yeah, the chance is like awful. Yeah,
be very powerful. I do hate that you can only have one Storm Totem active. I wish they had like a set duration, but you could have a couple of them active. It makes it very... I won't say difficult, but going from through an echo from one area to the next and having to resummon it's too slow before it starts actually casting.
You have to walk, you set up your roots, you set up your frenzy totem, you throw your totem, and then things start happening. And then you Warcry on top of it, right?
So it's a little slow.
It is, I agree.
But overall, it's great damage, super fast attack speed, cast speed. It's powerful.
It's good for arena too, because enemies are running at you, right? So you can just sit on a corner, put the totem, and just watch shit die. Honestly, it's out to targets everything. It cheeses things over walls. It's way stronger than I thought. It's one of those abilities that I never tried myself, and when I did, I got surprised. And to be honest, that happens very often in this game. A lot of people think like half of the abilities are like unplayable, and it's like. And to be honest, aside of the SS stuff, the game is fairly balanced, honestly. The difference between the S skills, the A skills, and the S plus skills, the difference from S plus and A is pretty big, but the difference from S and S plus is not that big. Same for S and A. Again, outside of the three outliners that just destroy the ladder and rogue and things like that, the game is actually, you can pretty much play whatever you want, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's fairly balanced. Storm Totem's always been one of my favorites, though. I've always the lightning with it, always loved it. It's why I made my set, trying to incorporate it. Unfortunately, it still doesn't work the way that I wanted, and I've even been told that it's too OP if it were to work that way. But hopefully, sometime in the future, it'll fucking take off.
You gotta use the Boardman fame, to put some pressure. Caesar's getting his squirrels. Time to get.
I want to see what happens with the rework to Primalist, and then afterwards I'll probably try and lay some pressure. I've even offered before to pay like a whole nother $1,000 to redo one of the items that I had, just to make it do what I want it to do. But it's.
I'm sure they will. There's items that I was talking with Quiet, and obviously Spriggan is getting redonned, right? So that's an item that's gonna be redone too. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's funny because it's one of those things where it's like you get told that it would be too powerful, but then your argument back is like the shaman's never been at the top of the tree. Like, I don't care, let it be powerful. I would love to see it go that high, but. Yeah.
Or they tell you it's too powerful, and then they release Shadow Daggers.
Our Earthquake Werebear happens the very next patch. It's like, what?
Yeah.
hold on. There's no way. So, like, what I want to change was that you could get zapped by lightning from the Storm Totem without having... So, the way it works is if Storm Totem zaps lightning, it'll hit nearby enemies. If you're close to that enemy, you get zapped as well, which gives you ward, health, and if you're a companion,
and
you
the
get
protections and all that stuff. Yeah.
If you're not next to an enemy, you don't get zapped. Storm Totem won't just target you and zap you over and over again. You have to be close. So I wanted it to be able to zap you too. Maybe there'd be an internal cooldown like once a second or something, but at least you'd always get zapped. So you could always get the increased lightning damage before going into battle. And they told me that
doesn't even sound OP to me.
Well, I guess it must have been tested because I was told it would be too OP. But then, like, literally the next patch after the convo was Earthquake Werebear popped up, and I'm just like,
yeah,
all right, okay, all right, Summon Stormcrow.
Okay, so I think this ability it's been explored a bit. I know you played quite a bit with it. I mean, I personally just used it as a buff for myself, which was, I mean, they just died and it was a bit... And I used them to buff my Storm Totem, actually, which was pretty cool, because they give him a lot of damage, right? Yep. Problems, maybe I didn't build enough HP for them or regen or whatever, but they just kept dying in Arena, because, you know, the mortars hit you and just annoying, right? But I've seen Mao. Mao was doing a build with he was using... Frenzy Totem and Eterra's Blessing to reset their cooldown of the ability. So he was just spamming the crow... What is it called? The crow shot or whatever? The big nuke. Yeah, Crow Storm. And dude, that thing was doing 400k damage without even points on it. Like, without gear. So again, I might visit that ability and take a look at it and see exactly how well it can work with putting the time to learn the timings and how to play the build. So but it could probably reach S. Right now, I don't have the expertise. I haven't played it, and it's a new skill, and I haven't really seen anyone prove me that it can do it. So I would give it a precaution A myself, just because I don't have the knowledge. But I could see it going S. Just don't have the knowledge myself.
I'd give it S. I compare it with the Wolves, with some of the builds that I've done. They're very, very similar in their playability and survivability even. As for the ability that they use, it's really... I haven't built directly into the ability itself, but I believe the ability, from the small testing I did, scales with the increased damages that you do with the crows. So if you build into the increased damage, the multiplicative damage per crow you have, and for every melee attack that you've done, you know that you give them like 40% more damage. If you go in and you attack and do some swipes and you fully buff your storm crows up, and then you use that ability, it does... I've seen it do 3 to 4 million damage on the training dummy, and that's unspec'd for that actual part of the skill. So I think it has some scaling things that probably don't work as intended.
Might be.
But what I have found is for the storm crow, if you build it just like the wolves, you give them, you know, the regen on gear, and then you give them aspect of the lynx, and you give them 100% crit, they do more damage than the wolves do, and they just leech. They have super high survivability, and they leech all their health back, just like the wolves do. And they're very powerful. If you build them into doing damage and into the leech, and you give them, and you build into the crit in the bottom to where you're giving them 100% crit on hit, they're very, very potent at end game. The problem is you're not. Your survivability, just like the wolves, is still
just
garbage.
like the wolves, right? It's like, yeah, my crows are hitting enemies for 20k, and then I just get a one shot. So.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier you had your wolves in that tournament hitting the training dummy for 100k each. You can do that with the crows. I've seen the crows do 150k damage each to the training dummy, and just and they're ranged, which is even better. The problem is, to get them buffed to that point, you have to do melee attacks, and if you do too many and you buff them too hard, they kill everything before you can even get to it. So like you have to wait for the buffs to die down.
It's like a bit. It's one of those things that it works really good on paper, but when you're actually playing the game, it's like, oh shit. It's not. That's the thing. There's a lot of builds that look really good on the dummy, right? And you go to the dummy and you see the damage. Oh wow, right? Like Firebrand, right? Oh look, 1 million crit on the dummy. Wow. Yeah, do that in Arena. The monsters are not gonna stay there for you, standing still for you to stack the ability 12 times. So yeah. But well, that's a Primalist. I think it's a pretty good representation. Well, rip Tempest Strike, I guess.
Yeah. All right, that's it for part 3, episode 3, all of the Primalist skills. Hope you enjoyed it. We're out of here.